Hunter. Take one.
Hey, this is Marshall. Today we're in the middle of the forest to look for some mushrooms. I hope we find some good ones. We just had a rainstorm. Shit's all crazy right now. Yeah, these are growing on the log here are called honey mushrooms, and they're like an edible species, but they're pretty sus. You gotta like definitely know what you're doing before you pick them, because they're a little brown mushroom, and there's so many mushrooms that are just little brown mushrooms. These ones grow out of conifer logs, and they kind of have like a, it's called a tomentuous cap, which means like woolly, and then they have a veil on the underside, which covers the gills until maturity. Like a webbing over the gills, and then like, as you like take that off, you can like see the gills. So if you get an older one, like you see all these ones that have opened up here, they don't have that web anymore. It's because they like got old enough and they're like, okay, now I can drop my spores. My job is done.
Does it look good like this? Like
Yeah, it does. So like up there, if you like climb up that massive hill and then down the other side, there's a lot of chanterelles down there, which are like an awesome edible mushroom. I think we'll probably see some today, although my dad's been through here pretty recently. He picks them like once a week, so we'll see how well he did. You see like way different stuff on the edge of the road than in the forest, because on the edge of the road it's almost more like a grassy field, whereas like in here you actually have all the big trees, and you're gonna have mushrooms associating with all of those trees. Over on the grass it's just like a totally different, it's like a little microbiome almost.
when was the first time that you came here?
Well, I live here, so probably when I was like 2 days old, I don't know. My mom was probably carrying me around here, you know?
That's dope.
But yeah, this whole area I like know super well. You could drop me anywhere, I wouldn't get lost. You getting some dank shots, BT?
Some focus posts from these mushrooms to you guys.
Oh,
BT comes with the dank shots always.
like a little microbiome.
That's it. When was the first time that you came here?
These right here are red-belted conchs, and they break down the lignin and cellulose within the tree, which essentially turns it most of the way to dirt, and then other microorganisms will work on it from there. Also known as Fomitopsis mountziae, that's the Latin name. So the mushroom is essentially living all underneath the wood here and inside the tree, and then when it wants to like fruit, which is sort of similar to like an apple tree growing an apple, it'll just pop out of the side here, and these are all sideways because the tree fell down and they grew while it was standing up. But essentially, when it's standing up, it has all these little holes on the bottom side of the shelf here. Or spores will fall out of those holes, and that's how the mushroom reproduces, by spreading its spores. And they're called the red-belted conch because if you look at some of them here on the top side, they're often like red, or they'll have like red belts. And there's not really much human use for these. They're really cool. Some people, you know, make teas out of them and stuff, but they're just really pretty and really important for the ecology of the forest. So.
That's really sick. So mushrooms or no?
Yeah.
Like-
So like to some degree, like some mushrooms will parasitize other mushrooms. We might find some examples of that today. For example, like some mushrooms you'll only see growing next to a specific other kind of mushroom, because that second type of mushroom is eating the first one. The mycelia or mycelium, which is like the actual like mass of the fungus, the mushroom being the apple of the tree, and the actual tree is just this mycelium, which is like a root network underground. Yeah, definitely it's always interacting with other mycelium in multiple ways, whether it's like defending it, fighting it off, or symbiosis. And most of these fungus are actually attached to tree roots underground as well, and that's what you call a mycorrhizal fungus when it interacts with the tree roots and forms a symbiosis with the trees. Then there's also saprotrophic mushrooms, which are like wood decayers. So when you see this wood here, it's like very sort of, it's weak. You can tear it apart like that. It's because it's had, I forget if it's the lignin or the cellulose, but those are essentially like the two structural compounds within wood. But essentially when the tree dies, the fungus can use all of that as food. And that would be like a saprotrophic mushroom that's not connected to a living tree, but instead like eating whatever's in the dirt, or maybe eating some decaying wood or something like that.
Like what you said about the mushroom being like the fruit and then the mycelium being like
Tree.
the tree. Is like that why they tell you not to eat moldy bread? Because like it's actually growing all throughout the bread, but the
Yeah.
fucking...
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes like I'll eat moldy bread, or like even if you get like a piece of the bread that's like not moldy, you'll be like, this tastes like bad.
This tastes funny.
But it's like because that mushroom or that fungus has probably like spread its spores all over the bread, which are like these like microscopic little like floating things. They're very durable. Like you'll find mushroom spores in space.
There's kinds of mold you can eat though. Like
Yeah.
moldy cheese, you
Yeah.
can still eat that shit. My grandma eats moldy bread.
Well, damn, really?
She's still alive.
But like moldy
It's
bread
chill.
can
It's
kill you,
chill.
I think.
True.
Sometimes.
If it's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably depends.
But like if
Isn't
I
that
get
how-
up and I see my morning bagel, like the last bagel in the bag, and it's got a little mold, like I'm eating that shit.
Do you cut the mold off, or you just like?
If
No,
it's
you
big
have
enough.
to cut the
Yeah,
mold,
yeah.
mold off. Your grandma eats the mold and the bread? Or she doesn't
No,
cut it
no,
off?
no, like she cuts it off. She's on that like mold. Like,
What doesn't
Yeah.
kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Deep in the forests of the Pacific Northwest. So here we go. Here's a cool mushroom. This is known as like the brown rollworm or Tapenella atrotomentosa. This is like a poisonous mushroom. It's the only mushroom that's ever killed a mycologist because it sort of has like a cumulative poison. So if you keep eating them and over again, then that's when the poison will hit you. These are pretty easy to identify. They'll a lot of the time like have these like they're not really striations, which are like lines along the cap, but you can see like sort of like these like liney imprints. And when they're younger, they'll have like a rolled rim, so that's why they're known as the roll rim. And like one good way to identify is you can like touch the gills like that and they'll bruise really quickly. Give it a couple seconds, they'll start turning dark and gray sort of. And they're growing everywhere. They were super common this year. They're prolific, they grow everywhere.
Who is the mycologist who died?
Honestly, I have no idea. It's just like a story that
Marshall, is this the same
mycologists pass
mushroom?
around. These mushrooms are all growing here, and these are probably all the same organism. So it's just like one big mycelium underneath the ground that we can't see, which is deciding to fruit in like several places. So you'll see like one there, there's like one here. If we look around, we'll probably find 10 more. But yeah, that's the brown roll rim.